Yo, good friggin' morning, good friggin' afternoon, good friggin' evening, wherever you are. My name is Aggrofiend, and today I bring you this beautiful build that I am calling Bul-Slide. It is Trample Slide and Bulwark all put together, and I think it's a viable build because I am cruising through 70s. Highest I've done so far is 78, I believe, last night on stream. So yeah, I think this could be legit. I just need somebody else with a bigger brain to come along and tweak it and make it even better. I also don't even have it completely fully built. So anyways, with that being said, here's a little bit of the gameplay of a level 70 that I did last night. And we did a 74 and a 78 on stream. And it's a lot of fun. It's very tanky. You do have to be careful of some explosions. It's got extremely good mobility with Trample Slide. I'm trying to get the damage up on that a little more, but it does. The best thing about this is the crowd control. You can poison creeper almost every single second. You can just bounce things around, and it's really hard to hit you. So if they're CC'd and they're not hitting you, you're not dying. And it's just a very aggressive, very fun. It's not the fastest killer. It does do some extremely good damage. It's just a lot of fun, and it can still handle some top tier nightmare dungeons. But anywho, that being said, I'm gonna let y'all get into the game, or not the gameplay video. I'm gonna let y'all get into the build video because it's a pretty long one, and we go over everything. So, thank you guys for watching. Follow, subscribe, like, all that good stuff. Check me out on Twitch. And I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace. Welcome into what I am effectively calling and affectionately calling the Bul-Slide build. Now, the Bul-Slide build is using Bulwark and Trample Slide to effectively keep everything CC'd as much as possible, keep you moving and mobile, because if it's not moving, it's not killing you. And if you're constantly moving and it can't hit you, then same thing. It's not killing you. So Trample Slide is doing quite a bit of damage. The Bulwark is still doing quite a bit of damage. And a lot of times you can catch the explosion of the Bulwark at the end of the Trample Slide like a damn missile. So we're just bouncing all over the place. And yeah, Bul-Slide. So what we'll do is I'll start off real quick and I'll show you the gear that I'm using at the time. Now, none of this is perfect. This was put together on the fly while I was actually checking on some things on PvP. I was like, man, maybe I can use Trample to catch up to some of these rogues and some of these barbs that are just trying to run from me. And then while a friend of mine, Raven Ritual, was sitting here watching, you know, we kind of developed it and went into some PvE stuff. And then all of a sudden, I completed a Nightmare 74 dungeon. And I'll go back and grab some of those clips and throw them in there for you in the beginning of me completing that Nightmare 74. That's the highest I've done so far. I haven't tried to go any higher because I want to check out some more of the stuff. But for right now, I am running a Aspect of the Might, and I've got barrier generation, cooldown reduction, and basic attack speed. I think those are perfectly fine. The willpower, I like the willpower here, but I think it could be switched out for a few things. And I think it's going to be kind of more of a preference there. But definitely barrier generation and cooldown. Because you want the cooldown because you need 14% cooldown. You have to at least have a minimum of 14% cooldown. Running into the chest piece here, I like damage reduction. Now, this isn't a perfect chest piece either. Running Mending Stone for the extension, for the 6-second extension. The replenishes really doesn't matter because everything's doing so much damage, it's kind of knocking the shit out of it. But it's the 6 seconds to get you to keep going from Bulwark to Bulwark to Bulwark that does it. If you haven't seen any Bulwark videos, check them out. They're everywhere, but that's the, you know, consensus here. But right now I've got 2 damage reduction stats and 1 total armor. Now, those 3 are perfectly fine. I think you could do a 4 DR piece. This is just the best I have, but with the way I have the skills set up, I think it needs to be a 3 DR piece. So probably a damage reduction while fortified, damage reduction from enemies that are poisoned, And you could do total armor like I have here, or you could go damage reduction from close, something like that. Another, or, just straight damage reduction, whichever one you want. But the fourth piece, I'm trying to find three stats into Bulwark. Now, the reason I want that is because the way I have everything statted and spun around and everything, I've only got 2 points into Bulwark, and I think I need those other 3 in Bulwark for survivability. Everything else is fine where it's at for the moment. I think I want to get those 3. So I think you need a 3 DR piece and the Bulwark, where it puts the points into Bulwark stat on the chest piece. That's what I'm looking for currently. Gloves, running Landslide as a bonus. Aftershock, attack speed. And I put the Landslide on there. I'm not so sure how I like that just yet. Critical strike chance, definitely. Good. Just, whatever gloves you kind of want on there. Critical strike damage with werewolf skills. I don't really have any werewolf skills, so that's just for the Staff of the Crone Claw right now. Could change that out. I definitely think attack speed, critical strike chance, and Landslide are good. Fourth one could be changed out right there. Personal preference, maybe more crit damage, vulnerable, I don't know. Somewhere in that order. Legendary pants. So here's where you got to start looking into your DR while injured for Bulwark. You need DR on pants, on boots, and on the amulet. I fortunately have 2 max rolls. I got a max roll on my pants and a max roll on on my amulet. And so I just need like a small to a mid roll, I think, on the pants. And you only need 75% damage reduction while injured to make all of this work. And right now I am rocking 75.9. I don't know what the max is. I've heard 85, but I don't know if you can actually go higher than this. But I know it's a minimum of 75 that you need. So anyways, I'm running the Disobedience, the really good armor perk right now that's giving me the cap of 92 and change when I go into PvP, and I think the cap is 12,500 on armor for PvE. So four DRs, damage reduction while fortified, damage reduction. If distant enemies needs to be changed, I would go with like poison or something like that. But you definitely need the damage reduction while injured, 3 other damage reductions of your choice, and then run Disobedience. Now, on my boots, I would like 2 extra to 3 extra evades up top, just because that's me. This one's fine. The attacks reduce evade cooldown. But total armor while in werewolf, movement speed, fortified generation, damage reduction while injured, all of those are fine. The armor while in werewolf, you're going to mainly be in werewolf unless you're using your trample slide. So you could just switch that to another damage reduction from close or a damage reduction period. But movement speed is your big thing, and damage reduction injured is your big thing. Make sure those 2 first, and then worry about the other 2 spots. Pretty much just kind of utility, whatever you need. Probably would definitely stick with armor or damage reduction. Great Staff of the Crone. You have to have this for this build to work. I have tested it with other things. I've tested it with the Butcher's Cleaver. I've tested it with one hand, offhand, and so on and so forth. And it doesn't work. So get you a great Staff of the Crone. Try and make sure that Ranks of Claw is 9, and get as high on the unique stat as possible. I got a 144%. Try and get as high as you can to that 150. Over on the amulet here, you need damage reduction while injured, and you need cooldown. You need cooldown reduction. Cooldown reduction, damage reduction while injured, need both of those. And I would say you need 3 ranks of Envenom. So those 3 stats are key. The fort stat, damage stat, or a damage reduction stat, whichever one you want to go for. You want more damage, you want more tanky. I think you can be flexible on that fort stat. But those 3 right there, damage reduction while injured, ranks of Envenom, and cooldown reduction, definitely are the 3 that you need on the amulet. And we're putting symbiotic on there to get the 12 seconds. That's why you need the
I greet you.
people are talking to me. That's why you run it on the amulet, is because it gives you the 12 seconds, which allows you to quick cycle the bulwark or whatever. It gives you one proc of Nature's Fury, and symbiotic will give you your bulwark back. I know I'm stuttering through this because it's my first Diablo video and I'm trying to figure this shit out, and I'm doing this at like 4 o'clock in the morning. So the rings here, I think the rings are going to kind of be up on you. They can be, I use them as damage and barrier generation. This one doesn't have barrier generation, which sucks because you want your barrier generation at 60. Mine's at 55. So I really need to try and get barrier generation back on this ring. So I probably could take the trampled earth and go put it on another ring that I have that I was using for rune walkers for the lightning build. But I'm not sure yet. If I could find one with barrier generation, it would be. Lucky hit, vulnerable, critical strike chance, and barrier. I think those are great. If I had my perfect ring, my perfect rings would probably be critical strike chance, critical strike damage, vulnerable damage, and barrier generation. Those are probably my perfect rings. So change that lucky hit chance into critical strike damage. I'm golden on this. Change lucky hit chance to barrier and damage to poison enemies. Change that to, critical strike damage or barrier generation, whichever one. Perfect. So rings are pretty close to good, but you want that 60% barrier generation to get the maximum barrier, I believe is what it is, that you can have every time you generate one. And we're running trampled earth on the ring. And then we're running rapid. Just increase your basics attack speed so that you can get as many procs as you can on the bulwark to keep your bulwark up and running as best as possible. So, anyways, there's the equipment that I'm running and the aspects. I'll go over them one time in case somebody wants to slow them down. I'm just going to pop them up real quick. You can pause, go back if you need to. There's Crone. As far as the gems, barrier generation, emeralds, skulls. Super easy. Now, you're really, really close with what I have here to the critical strike damage 200% threshold for PvP, which is what I was trying to get to. Depending on what you want to do, you can crank this up or down. I may redo the paragon boards and just go all nuts for PvE. I was trying to keep it balanced, but I'm not sure yet. Spirit boons. I take wariness, avian wrath, then I go bolster. And that's just every time you can spam your bulwark before you go into a fight and fortify all the way up. As well as pack leader. Critical strikes have up to a 20% chance to reset the cooldowns of your companion skills. So what that's allowing me to do is we're using poison creeper. That allows me to keep entangling and CCing everything that I can on pretty much every critical strike. And we're critical striking quite a bit. So you're almost getting your poison creeper back up within seconds of casting it. And then we're running Calm Before the Storm because hell yeah. Now we're going to go into abilities. So we're going to go 1 point into Claw. We're going to go all the way up to Wild Claw. 1 point into Storm Strike. All the way up your Storm. Doing these kind of fast because you can pause the video if you need to. Now, the Landslide, which is a bunch of our damage. I've got 5 points into Landslide, and I went all the way up to Primal. Primal is pretty nice with the guaranteed critical strike and the damage. And then bosses always have up to a 10% chance to grant a Terra Mote when hit. So you can melt some bosses pretty quick with this plus bubble. So 5 points Landslide all the way up to Primal. 3 points into Predatory Instinct for more critical strike chance. because we are going to be in the middle of everybody. I'll move down here to the defensive tree. Now, I've only got 2 points in Bulwark because I'm trying to find a chess piece to put the other 3 in there. If I can get 3 more points into Bulwark, it should give me somewhere in the 73 to 7,800 range on the barrier amount. So, anyways, 2 there, up into innate because it still does really good damage because we are speccing into some earth stuff. For our landslide, we might as well have this sucker. Might as well have this damn thing doing the damage that it normally does with the Bulwark, because the Bulwark is kind of broken right now. When they fix it, I'll try and fix the build to where it's just tanky as hell, and landslide will do most of the damage. So, but 2 into Bulwark, up to innate. Come down here and grab 1 in Ancestral Fortitude and 3 into Vigilance for extra damage reduction. We're going to move down to the Companion. We go 1 in Poison Creeper, all the way up to Brutal Poison Creeper so that we get the critical strike chance against enemies. And we can constantly throw that out there because of Pack Leader. So you can constantly just smack people with it when they're strangled. So that's a really good extra 20% critical strike chance. I mean, you just constantly throw. I mean, you hit Hurricane, you trample in, you hit Creeper, you hit Petrify, and then starts throwing and then start trampling back and forth and blowing up the Bulwark. Hit Strangle again, do it again, hit Strangle. I mean, it's just you just keep rotating it through, and it just keeps destroying things. It's very nice. Down here, we're gonna go into Wrath, which is where we have our Hurricane, and we go into Savage Hurricane to take 20% less damage from everybody that's close to us. And I went ahead and did Elemental Exposure. Your storm skills have up to a 10% chance to make enemies vulnerable for 1 second. Now, we are running Exploit, but Exploit only lasts for 3 seconds. This is for when Exploit runs out. So I think this point's crucial. Some people don't. But this is just to make Hurricane make things vulnerable for when Exploit runs out, because you're not going to kill them before Exploit runs out some of the times. So this just keeps giving you vulnerable back. 3 points into Crushing Earth, 3 points into Stone Guard, 2 points into Safeguard. If I could get 1 more point in here, I probably would, but I don't think it's necessary. 1 point into Trample so we can have access to Trample Slide. Don't need anything here because we're not worried about Trample doing the damage. We're worried about Landslide doing it. We don't care about Fortify. We have plenty of that. And we damn sure don't care about Spirit because we're not using anything. And then come down here to 1 rank in Neurotoxin so that it slows and crowd controls enemies. 1 point into Toxic Claws. Critical strikes with Werewolf skills. Deal 8% of their base damage as poison. That's every time we hit with Claw. And then in Venom, everything that's poisoned with Poison Creeper, and everything that's poisoned with Staff of the Crone, when it crit strikes, is takes 60% additional crit strike damage. So there's your Wrath tree. Run down here to your ultimate tree. We're running Petrify. I'm not running effect durations are increased by 1 second. 1 second really doesn't make a shit. I'm just in it for the encase them for 3 seconds and deal the 30% increased damage, and against bosses the 50. We're just in it for the damage buffs. These 2 right here to me are useless. So we go over here to Defiance. Nature magic skills deal 12% increased damage to elites. Fantastic. Go up 1 to Natural Disaster. Your Earth skills deal increased damage to vulnerable enemies. You could see more of this, maybe, if you could find some extra points or wanted some extra points, but I don't think. I think we just use it to get to here. Resonance. Triple it. It's 6% increased damage, but you triple the bonus if an Earth skill is the next skill cast after a Storm skill, or a Storm skill is the next. So basically, you cast Hurricane, and then, you know, you pop something, and you back and forth. You can back and forth between your Hurricane. Your Hurricane's always off cooldown, and you know, your Bulwark's always off cooldown. So those 2 can kind of work back and forth off each other with this right here. And there's several things, just because we're going between Storm and Earth so much that the Resonance will pop all the time. It's almost up like 100% of the time, pretty much.
Quick shift, 1 point quick shift to get to heightened senses. On shape shifting him to a werewolf or werebear, gain 12% damage reduction. We're going back and forth. We're going from trample slide, which is werebear, back to werewolf with basic attacks, back to trample slide. So it's just constantly, this is basically up the entire time, like always up. So, and then of course the Nature's Fury keystone, which you have to have. So that is the skill tree. Now we're going to get into the paragons. Now here's the thing. Paragons may not be perfect. They probably could use some work. I wish this video would get to somebody like Ace or Rob or Moxie or somebody that has a bigger brain than I do with some of this stuff. Some of these paragons were, I wouldn't say copied, but followed. Some of them might have been copied for, like, I think this Fang and Claw paragraph I got from someone. This one's kind of self-explanatory. I think everybody runs a certain kind of starter one like this. I think this contribution, the Undaunted, might have been mine. This is my idea. I think this is just a mixture. No clue. I mean, the Paragon boards have just kind of come together. I think I started here and here with these two right here, and then just kind of was like, all right, what's a good idea for Undaunted? What's a good idea for this and that? And I was like, oh, I need more crit strike damage. I can get a quick crit strike damage boost from Tempest all up here with all this stuff. I like this node right here, and it was a quick access for, you know, critical strike damage, vulnerable damage, and all this goodness that was just sitting up here. So I was like, fuck it, I'm going to go into that and snag that rare. But anyways, we're going to start down here. I'm going to go over the glyphs. And then I'm going to scroll in just a little bit. I'm going to pull the Paragon board up like this. I'm going to go over the glyphs. And then just scroll on through so that you can just pause it and take it as you need it. All right, hopefully everybody got those Paragons right there, because that is a lot of shit to go through. Basically, all I tried to do was go through and just find as much health as possible and just grab the most important damage nodes that I could think about, as well as grabbing some of the more, you know, heightened malice. While there are 3 or more poison enemies nearby, you deal 45% increased damage. All right, when I throw my poison creeper down, that's going to be amazing. You know, things like that. So, poison resistance is great. Against a lot of shit. You could take these other two right here if you wanted to go, like, get rid of, like, armor and snag these other 2 poison resists. It's great in PvP against rogues and shit. There's a lot of poison out there. Poison's probably one of your most dangerous fucking things. Excuse my language too, by the way. One of your most dangerous things that you're gonna hit is gonna be poison, with this build. And like I said, right now it's not perfect. So... But anyways, that right there, guys, is what I'm calling Bul-Slide. I have looked on Max Roll. I have looked on Mobalytics. I have looked everywhere that I can look. And I have not seen a Bul-Slide build. So, with that being said, I appreciate you. I'm going to have my Twitch linked down below. Like, follow, subscribe, all that good stuff. Let this get out there. Go show this video to everybody. Maybe Ace or maybe Rob or maybe somebody will get a hold of this video and say, hey, this is a good idea. Let me make it great. Because the highest nightmare dungeon I've done so far with this build, and it's janky. it's not even complete. Like, the gear's not complete or anything like that, but I completed a Nightmare 74, a tier 74 Nightmare dungeon with this build on stream, and people watched it, and I'm gonna go get some of that footage and put it in the beginning of this video. So I think this could have potential. Yes, it's Bulwark, so it's tanky, but it's got a lot of CC, it's got a lot of mobility, and so on and so forth, and it's played differently than the other just stand there Bulwark build, because you got to get in and get out and kind of act like a little missile and move around. It actually takes a little bit of... I died several times, so it takes some skill to play with it. But I appreciate everybody coming in. Again, like, follow, subscribe, and I'll see you guys over on the Twitch when I stream. I try and stream once, twice a week. Feel free to come by the stream and join the Discord. Come in there and say hi. And yeah, guys, I appreciate y'all, and I'll catch y'all later.